What's up? Today, I'm going to show you how to make the perfect wedding mashup. All right, I'll just give you guys a little preview of what we are working with here today.
Slow down, baby. Let you know from the gate, I don't go down, lady. I want a chick with thick hips that licks her lips. She could be the office type, but like the strip. Girl, you get me aroused, how you look in my eyes. But you talk too much, man, you're ruining my high. I don't wanna lose the feeling, cause the roof and ceiling is on fire. And you looking good for the getting, I'm a rider. Whether in a hoodie or a linen, a provider. You should see the jury on my women, and I'm living it up. The squad stay filling the truck with chicks that's willing to trizz with us. You say you got a man and you're in love, but what's love gotta do with a little menage? After the party, me and you could just slap for a few, and she can come too. It's love.
Ooh. Okay, so when it came to making this edit, the big thing I wanted to go over today was mixing in key. Whenever I'm making a mashup, this is like the biggest thing that I always do is I'm making sure that I'm mixing in key. So I Want You Back, Jackson 5, the instrumental is actually 4B is the key that it's in on the Camelot wheel. But I was having problems finding an acapella that was in 4B. So what I actually used here, because I was struggling to find something that matched, was actually use this harmonic mixing chart. You can find it on Google. If you just look up harmonic mixing chart Camelot, it'll come up for you guys. I always operate on this perfect match chart. So the key was in 4B here for the instrumental, and a perfect match is actually also 5A. And What's Love is actually in the key of 5A, which is C minor. So I tried it and it sounded great. So I just kind of ran with it from there. And I definitely recommend just save this image or something like that. I just have it right here on my desktop. I just go double click on it. And then whenever I'm making a mashup and I'm struggling to find something, because when it comes to music theory, like I am inept. But when it comes to the actual project itself here, I did a lot of work on the vocal because soloed without the processing, it sounds like this.
Yeah, slow down, baby. Let you know from the gate, I don't go down, lady.
And with processing.
Yeah, slow down, baby. Let you know from the gate, I don't go down, lady.
So it's a lot more like in your face, and there's a little less noise in the background from the recording, and that is due to the denoiser that I have going on here. So first on the chain, when it comes to working with this acapella here, this is a free plugin called the Bertom Denoiser. I went over it in a previous video, but I use this all the time. I love this freaking plugin. So I usually the meter starts down here, but usually I put it at about 0.5, and then I'll drop these down to whatever I think is the best gate, pretty much, and then that takes care of a lot of the problems with the noise. The EQ here, I'm just rolling off any low end that was still there, any bass or sub frequencies, I wanted to get rid of that. And then after that, I have Neutron 3 here doing some work. I used the track assist feature on the lead vocal, and I just let it read the audio, and then I made some changes after. It had like 2 compressors and an exciter on here, which I just didn't like. I didn't think it sounded good at all. So what I ended up doing was deleting all of that. I kept the EQ on here. It ducked out a really harsh frequency, boosted the highs, which made a ton of difference. It sounded a lot better that way, and it has a little boost here as well. And I liked the way that sounded. This was a little bit high. At the start, it was about like 3 dB. So I dropped that down 1.5, and it sounded good that way. And then the first one on the chain that I like is the sculptor here. It's just reading the audio and making a bunch of little tiny incremental changes as the vocal is coming through, which is really helpful. These 2 plugins pretty much doing a majority of the EQ work. And then I have a glue compressor here, and I don't have any makeup gain going on here because what I want to do is I'm just trying to shave off those peaks, and I'm boosting it later with the limiter anyway. So I just use the glue compressor as a way just to like cut those like harsh sections down a little bit more, just to make it a little bit, I don't want to say flat, but I did want to, there was a little too much dynamic range in my opinion on the vocal, so I ended up just doing a little bit of compression there. And then the instrumental sounded great, to be honest. I didn't really do much there. I just have an auto filter here for a break section. So you can hear the filter is just acting as a way to sort of add tension to what's going on. So with the edit, I just right clicked here, show automation, turned the filter on and off when I needed it. And then I right clicked again here, hit show automation. And then I just filter down here by drawing in my points and then bringing it back up. So if you want to add a new point, you just click on the line anywhere, adjust it as you see fit. And then if you mess up like I just did there, you can hit Control or Command Z just to undo any sort of mistakes you make. And then at the end here, I have a reverb send also, I forgot to mention. So here I just have like a long reverb going on. So this reverb send, the reason why I have the reverbs and effects in a send is because I actually have the sidechain going as well, just to duck that reverb sound a little bit. Just because I don't want it to take up any space that isn't necessary. So like when that kick or that snare is hitting from I Want You Back, I still want that to be like in your face, and I don't want anything to affect that. So just this little tiny sidechain on the reverb just to help like duck it down. The EQ here is just rolling off the low end. Once again, just reinforcing the fact that I don't want like any sub frequencies to have like reverb on it or anything like that. I don't want that because that can cause issues down the line later. And last but not least, the super secret master chain, which is just a utility and a limiter. That's it. So what's going on here with the utility? This I kind of have to explain this. So with you, because like these older recordings, to add width, sometimes what they would do is they'll pan things really far left and right. So you can hear in I Want You Back, the bass is kind of panned to the right. So it's not actually sitting in the middle like a lot of stuff today. So a lot of things today, like 100 hertz and lower, it's just like sitting in the middle of your mix, along with like a clap, lead vocal, or a snare. And then everything else is on the sides of that, because then that helps fill the stereo field. That's why when you hear things, they sound like so full, rich, like it's just taking up all the space, because you have this designated like middle area and stuff that's sitting in the middle. So these older recordings were just like panned, and like some of the low end is like on the right or the left, which is really weird. But that's the technology they had at the time. But what's nice now is that I just can click two buttons and make sure that everything that's around 90 or 100 hertz and lower is sitting in the middle, which is what I did with this utility. So if you're dealing with an old instrumental or something like that, I put the utility on the master here and I put bass mono. I turned the headphone on and then I just adjusted the slider until I only heard a bass guitar, a kick, or a little bit of the vocal. And usually you'll end about like anywhere between 90 to like maybe just a little bit over 100 hertz. And what that's doing is it's just reinforcing and making sure that everything below that point is sitting dead center. I'll just A/B it so you guys can hear the difference. If you're just listening on like a laptop speaker, you might not hear it. But if you have like headphones or studio monitors, you'll hear like it's on the right when it's off, but then when I turn it back on, everything kind of just moves to the middle, and then it leaves a little more room for like your hats and stuff like that.
I'm not a hater, I'll just crush a lot. In the way you shake your booty, I don't want you to stop. You need to come a little closer. And let me put you under my arms like a dawn is supposed to. Please believe you leave with me. We be freaking all night like we was on E. You need to.
And that made a huge difference just using that utility. So if you're using any sort of like older vocal or instrumental, I definitely recommend putting a utility on there and seeing if anything's panned a little bit further left or right than it should. This made the world of difference for me when it came to this edit. And then lastly, just a simple limiter, turn the gain up a little bit, and we were done. Alrighty, ladies and gents, that wraps it up for today's video. Hopefully you learned something new. If you did, sure. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'll be back next week with another tutorial video for you guys on edits. But until then, take it easy. Tell someone you love them, all that good stuff. And I'll be back soon.